Yo guys, this is Reinhardt, your favorite Russian talking. I have some really cool, awesome SoloQ shuffle for you guys, where I'm playing as a Demon Hunter against Arcane Mage, Red Poly, and Destruction Warlock. And our healers are Holy Priest and Holy Paladin. Very good. One of the cool neat tricks I learned onto this arena is that the fact is if you push in very deep into enemy territory and you make them stack on top of each other, then the priest and their enemy healer will constantly be subject to AoE crowd control. The crowd control on the healer is going to be a lot easier, and they're constantly going to have to juke you into reps. This Arcane Mage is incredible. He's actually was about to go 6-0 in this lobby, and this is the one of the few losses that actually he had in this lobby itself. So that's what I like about this positioning. You stack on top of the enemy healer and the enemy DPS, and you try to duke you and cleave them as much as freakishly possible. And when you do that, your damage just gets compounded. But the best part about it is the healer stands in the back and free casts healing onto you. So here on the second round, I am playing with this Arcane Mage. If you guys look at the damage numbers, my Demon Hunter definitely pumped really hard, but it was only because of that hyper aggressiveness. And because I was super hyper aggressive, at the same time the healer, our healer, had a chance to just stay back and free cast heals. So here we're going to be playing against the Destruction Warlock, Red Poly, and Holy Priest. Now the thing about this comp is, I mean, it's SoloQ shuffle. Obviously, Luck and Paladin doesn't have the best of the synergies. However, you cannot let the Demon Luck free cast. So I'm gonna stop opening up on him, and he is gonna jump down. Now, that's perfectly fine with me. If he wants to jump down and play in the back, that's fine. I'm gonna swap to his heal, and I'm gonna start digging some damage and force some defensive crowd control. While the Luck came back, try to do damage again. He lost good 15 seconds of this damage. I'm gonna pop my metaphor here, and I'm gonna do massive damage on the Luck, kind of forcing him to go back and line aside his healer again, or at least mitigate some of his damage. It is fine. If the Destruction Warlock decides to play and kite you around the pillars and wants you to chase him, don't take the bait and don't masturbate. But from a damage perspective, Warlock lets you duke on him, go super hard. He tries to play funny and you have the opportunity to swap to the next target, go for it. But just keep mindful that as soon as the Destruction Warlock comes back in, here comes back the pain train. So you're gonna have to switch back to him to deny some of the damage. Again, he goes out there, he ports next to his healer. He was trying to bait me to jump down and lose my damage, but obviously didn't go for that. Now they're duking down on my mage relatively hard, so my mage had to pull back, and the enemy team is trying to pull exactly what they're trying to pull on us in terms of like, hey, let the melee DPS push in and healer can enjoy free casting a little bit in the back. So, and that they kind of worked out. The Paladin got feared, the Paladin got swapped a couple times, and at this point in time I just need to duking out into the slug quite a bit. Now the priest actually life swapped, and I put a cage on him so that way he won't be able to get heals, and I'm still pursuing this warlock. I'm gonna charge onto him, and now that I don't have a demon form, now that I don't have really a lot of cooldowns, all I need to do is play smart. I need to deny kill opportunities for the enemy team, and obviously I need to ramp up my damage and get ready for the next IB metamorphosis. And I also have a hunt coming after cooldown, so the timing right now is really strong. So I'm gonna I-beam into the hunt, and I'm gonna dig the damage into the warlock down to about 60k HP. I'm gonna get coiled, and finally good, my mage actually finished off the warlock. Here now I'm playing with the red paladin, and the red paladins have a very good burst and a good sustained damage, and their mobility is actually not as bad as it used to before. Something that I'm not used to is the new red paladins. I'm gonna switch to glimpse here because there's no point of me running a birdie, the shit that you fly in the air and you start throwing the fell bolts. It's really good against melee, and it's good kind of a hybrid between the offensive cooldown, but it's also mostly used defensive so you can get away from the melee. However, because there's no melee, we're gonna go with the glimpse that makes us CC immune and gives us 30% damage reduction while we're in the air once we pop our kind of a disengaged glimpse. Mage decided to try to be really funny, so we're gonna pressure on him really well here. He's gonna blink and then gonna do a light swap while Mage was getting stunned after his blink. Now I'm gonna try to fell rush to him, and this was an incredible knockback by the mage because it denied a lot of my damage, plus I was snared, so it took me a while to get to the place, and I Fell Rush through the Ring of Frost, so that way I'm not gonna get CC'd. Now I have a very good cleave opportunity for the I-Beam on the both Warlock and the Mage. I'm gonna hunt the Mage into the Fell Rush, into just digging annihilations into him, because it does a lot of damage. I got him down to 4k HP, and the Priest was really good at like life swapping right away. Now here I'm gonna pop my Metaform, and I'm gonna get CC'd up the S, and obviously rightfully so, because the amount of damage I pulled on to the Mage. Now I'm gonna swap back to Mage, and now Mage is gonna play very smartly. He's gonna kite a lot, and Warlock, Industrial Warlock is gonna get free cast, and that's a kind of a lose-lose situation for us melee DPS, is when we cannot connect, when we're sitting in the roots for a long time, and basically one of the hyper aggressive casters, like for example Arcane Mage and the Destruction, the ones that you let them free cast and they can destroy your entire team, actually get to free cast completely. The damage will be coming out of insane. Now the Mage used his block, so he is a prime target for swapping. I'm just standing here chilling, waiting for the next step. He's gonna root me and he's gonna port out, and I'm gonna get coiled. I'm getting peeled like crazy, and they're getting onto my red paladin. He's down to 120k HP, and he's dead. At this point in time, to be honest, man, like looking back, I probably should have swapped more. But what I thought the way that we're gonna play is we're gonna play defensive, wait out the block, get caught up on the heals, and then try to blow the Mage up. But instead, what we did is we tried to just mongoloid damage as much as possible, and not have a good connection, not have a good damage. And the melee cliffs, when they play against the caster cliffs, in fact, I think the melee cliff is actually, depending on the season, but mostly at disadvantage, at the high rank rated play. However, melee cliffs can easily mitigate a lot of that by just Lana siding, getting caught up on the heals, waiting for their cooldowns, and then blow the somebody up. Now I'm playing with the Mage again, and we're fighting against a red paladin, holy paladin this time. Now, the thing I like about holy paladins is that I can fucking swap to them and I can duke you on top of them. Now, again, Destruction decides to find the Nemo here. He decided to play defensive, and if he's playing defensive, he's not doing damage. He is no reason for me to just go out there, get myself out of position, get stunned and stunned again, get coiled, and potentially swap to. Hence why I went on the red poly, but once I get my hands on the Destruction, obviously I went for the Destruction itself. Now, Destruction is getting relatively low, and the Holy Paladin is gonna start using some of the cooldowns. My most favorite part about Holy Paladin is using cooldowns. By the way, Trinketed here popped my blur because I saw that the Red Paladin was blowing on me. Warlock actually fake casted me, so he got a bit of that precognition, but the damage is still flowing relatively well. And here's what I noticed. The Paladin is standing there with a bubble. What's the best way to do it? Well, swap to the Holy Paladin. His bubble is down, his damage is relatively low. I have a demon coming up, so I'm gonna try to do a glaive toss onto the demon, get my soul, get my extra damage, and then burn the living crap out of this paladin into a very nice good hard swap. Now, Destruction is not bad. He actually peels very frequently for his healer, but the thing about Holy Paladins is they can actually die. They're relatively not that difficult to kill, even though a lot of people for some reason don't like getting on the healers this expansion. Like, I get it, getting on a priest and a holy priest or this priest is a little bit more difficult, but paladins are really good free game, and so are rest of druids. Now this paladin tried to like just tunnel kind of a CC, interrupts into my healer, and he paid for it dearly. Now for the rest of the games, basically the way it's gonna go down is we're gonna lose a couple more matches. This Arcane Mage was really good, and this was the game where he was just going to the 6-0, fucking everything up. However, he did lose to me once on that game where we had a really good superior position against him. He could have lost to me again the second time too, and I would have actually had a really good win-loss ratio when it was down to 4.5k HP. But here's the thing, guys. In SoloQ Shuffle, it's not only about your skills, but it's also about the counterplay against the enemy players. So if you see one player is popping off so well, you have to try a lot of different things. And this is more I want to talk to you about for the rest of the matches, is a bit of a tips and tricks that I found in the SoloQ Shuffle that could be very good for you. Well, number one is if you see the DPS just doing extraordinarily well in terms of, hey, he's just duking on everybody else, check him. Check how good his defenses are. The odds are, what I've noticed is some of the best DPSers actually not the best defensive playstyle people. And some of the best defensive playstyle people are actually really terrible at damage dealing. And you kind of need to figure out which one's which in the first couple matches. Because if you find out that there's a player that plays super defensive, doesn't do a lot of damage, then he should not be a kill target even though he's a prime class to be duked on. If the guy is really good at playing defensive to the point where he just kites you around, doesn't do a lot of damage, but you waste so much time getting on him, just get on the goddamn healer, get on another DPS. Another thing is, if you see a healer is doing super well, where you see that the healer is gonna go 6-0, that means you're gonna go 3 and 3. 3 wins, 3 losses. If one healer is just superior to the other healer. In that case, again, check him, swap to him, see what's out there. Also, another thing is, let your healer know that we need some extra CC. Like if the enemy healer is just going 6-0 and you're playing with a healer that's probably gonna lose the match, tell your healer to try something different. Tell him to be a little bit more aggressive, get a little bit more crowd control in many healers, see if that's gonna work. If inherently your healer is just lacking on the healing compared to the enemy healer, then you gotta do something different in terms of try to dish out more damage, try to surprise them, try to grab people behind the pillar, try to do something that will be not just a regular mathematics, as in, hey, I'm doing damage, they're doing damage, and whichever healer heals the most wins the game. Type of scenario. Now I'm gonna get on this healer again, but the healer is not dying, the mage is peeling, and the thing I really don't like about facing this particular comp is very easy. Arcane Mage doesn't have a lot of survivability or as much survivability as the Frost Mage. However, the problem with Arcane Mages arises is that they do just lots and lots of massive damage. And when you pair them up with a Holy Paladin that has a bop and a bubble, and then you pair them up with a red that also has a bop and a bubble, it's just such a defensive hyper comp that it will make it really difficult for you to get kills. And here again we're gonna be fighting against the same team. Mage is gonna do a really good job at kiting us, and at this point in time I am happy that I went 3 and 3 in this lobby because I've actually learned quite a bit to how to counter the mages better and how to swap to Holy Paladins more and more frequently. I wanted to get on the Holy Paladin here with my red poly, and we should have actually duked on him really good. I just landed one of my stuns, we didn't have a hatch, we didn't have any follow-up CC, and I would get knockback and I would get polymorphed quite frequently. So therefore what I should have done here, I probably should have just swapped to a more mage, and instead of focusing on just DPSing the healer, try to actually DPS the mage, because the mage was vulnerable and we did get a kill on him previously. He even had a chance to ice block. And the thing I like about Demon Hunter is just their damage is freaking amazing. But look at this mage. I hunted him, he did not get discouraged, he just Dragon Breathed me into the poly right away, mitigating a lot of that burst damage. And then once we again have a chance to connect, do some damage, we have the mage and the warlock free casting into us. So I'm gonna swap to a Destruction Warlock to kind of prevent some of that damage, prevent some of that execute, but the mage and the poly is gonna get a kill. Learned a lot from this game, this was a really good matchup, and can't wait to show you guys more.